Hello everyone and welcome for this new video. So in this one we're going to talk about how to take a picture of your paintings. Alright, so let me take a painting as an example. A painting is not like any other object. It's something quite tricky because it's already a picture. So you've got to make a picture of a picture. With a photo you have to take a clean shot and make sure that the photo that you take is a good reproduction of the actual experience that the viewers could get in front of the painting. And this is quite a challenge. Let's talk about gear. I do recommend that you get a good camera if possible, but just something entry level should be alright. An entry level DSLR, mirrorless. I think the best thing about these types of camera is not the body of the camera itself, but more the fact that you can use a lens. Actually, I think that the lens is the most important part of why I recommend using DSLR, and especially those lenses which I really recommend. They are 50mm prime lens. So this type of lens is a prime lens, which means that you can't really zoom in and out. You have to get closer or step back to adjust the framing of your composition. So this is the closest that you can get to the human eye and human vision, how we see things, without distortions on the side. These lenses also have a great benefit, is that they have a wide aperture, and the aperture is actually how wide the hole can open here. And I'm going to talk about why it's important later. I don't really recommend using your phone, except if it's only like for sharing on Instagram. If you don't have a choice and you can't afford a DSLR or a mirrorless or a hybrid camera, just use your phone and try to put it on manual. Don't use automatic settings. And finally, you're going to need a tripod. Find something steady and reliable. It's pretty easy to find. All right, let's go and take our picture. All right, so let's place our picture. Let's put it horizontally so that we can have the wider frame and the least difference of light between the top and the bottom. The top always receives more light than the bottom, so if you can reduce this, it's going to give you a more uniform light on the entire subject. So first, make sure that the place that you want to take your picture in has good light, and make sure that it's even, soft and neutral. It should normally be your easel. So before we start working with the camera, we'll still have some things to do with the painting to make sure that we have removed all the dust, that we have done the oiling out, so you don't have any dull areas anymore. The dull areas happen sometimes. You see them like they don't have the same shine as the rest of the painting. You want to get rid of those with a mix of 50% linseed oil and 50% eau de las mineral spirits, or you can also use retouching varnish if the oiling out doesn't work with the previous mixture. Now I'm going to be looking for areas where the paint has gone dull and matte. And I'm going to just brush it nicely and softly with my clean brush. If it has taken some dust, it's also a good idea to remove the dust before you do that. Actually, to remove the dust, the best thing is also to use a clean brush and brush away all the dust. Like this, it works pretty well. Alright, so let's keep oiling out here and here, just making sure that the details, all the details are visible and that the shine is even on the entire surface. Alright, so the next step is going to be to adjust the white balance on our camera. You can see here that it's very yellow. I'm going to change the white balance just so that you can see what it looks like. you want the white balance to be manually adjusted, and you're going to use something like this, a gray card. You can find this online, or you can use smaller gray cards like this. White and black also work. If you don't have a gray card, generally you can also make the white balance with a white piece of paper. Just put it in the entire frame, take a picture, make sure it covers the frame, and then you're going to ask your camera to use this image as the white balance reference. Alright, so now the cutter is adjusted to fit with this white piece of paper. Alright, so now I've got my frame. It can be a good idea to tape the thing that you used for your white balance in the frame, so either the gray card or the white piece of paper, not the entire thing, just a small piece of it. So I'm going to tape this here, just so that I have a reference for later. I can pick this cutter here. I'm going to do the same with the gray card, just to be sure. If you have the color grading tools and the software that goes with it, you can also manually color correct by first taking a picture with the color grading grid in the frame and do another one without, or put it next to it. Alright, so now it's time to talk about exposure. Right now, for example, this is way too dark, this is way too light. You need to find the right exposure, and you need to know three things. I'm not going to do the entire photography course, you just need to know about the exposure triangle, which is ISO, aperture and shutter speed. So the ISO is just the sensitivity of your camera. How sensitive is it to light? The less ISO you have, the darker it will get because it's less sensitive, but you also have less chromatic pollution, you have less noise. You know, if you take a picture with high ISO, you'll have a lot of noise. So generally what you want is the lowest possible ISO. I generally go for 100 if I can. 200 might work perfectly well. Don't have that much noise with 200. Now the aperture is how wide the hole through which the light has to go through can open. And with this lens, it can open up to 1.8, which means it's very wide. Opening wide is great because it gives you a lot of light inside. But the problem is also that you have more depth of field, which means that the range that your camera can focus on is going to be narrower. For a photo of a painting, you don't necessarily mind the depth of field because technically it's something flat that you're taking, so you don't have any background, you don't care about the bokeh and the stuff like this. So you can open pretty wide, but don't open too wide because if the painting is tilted ever so slightly, it's going to create, it's going to be out of focus in some parts, like maybe if the top is tilted, it's going to be out of focus. So you want to open as much as you can, maybe 2.5, something like this, depending on your camera, depending on your lens. But try to open as much as you can without going too extreme is my recommendation. And the last thing is the shutter speed. The camera is going to capture light for a certain amount of time. It's going to let light in just for a quick moment. And the shutter speed is the duration of this moment. So the problem normally with the shutter speed is people moving. But right now, since it's a still picture, the shutter speed really doesn't matter. We have the entire range. We can go all the way. So yeah, just shutter speed is the thing that you're going to use to really adjust to exactly what you need. You can also check what is called the histograms on your camera to make sure that you don't have too much white and too much black. It's going to give you an idea of the exposure. Last minute changed, I realized that I had some annoying reflections in this direction, so I'm going to put it upright. Actually, it's going to look better because I won't have these reflections. And I'm going to tilt my canvas ever so slightly in front of me to reduce these tiny glares. Alright, so right now everything is going to happen on the computer, but there's one more tricky thing to take care of. It's the calibration of your screen. Actually, my screen is very poorly calibrated right now because my calibrated screen is this one, and this one I've messed up the settings, but you have to use, if you really want to have perfect color accuracy on your screen to work on your paintings, you have to use something like a color calibration device like this one with the software. It's going to change the color settings in the graphic cards that your computer is using to make sure that the colors are accurate. It's a tricky thing. If you trust the calibration that the manufacturer has given to your computer, fine. I totally don't necessarily think that it's necessary to go with screen calibration. You don't need that to make good pictures as long as you have a good white balance before that. But that's the next level, so to say, if you really want to dive deep in this. Now you have those pictures, take them as high quality as you can. You can shoot RAW or you can take high-res JPEG. I personally only do high-res JPEG because it's enough. I don't need to take RAW pictures. And after that, you can use something like Adobe Lightroom, Photoshop to retouch them. I'm going to go with an option that you don't have to pay for. It's a free software called Krita that I'm using. I'm going to put the links in the description, that I use instead of Photoshop. It's not technically a replacement for Photoshop, it's more a painting software, but it works fine enough for what I want to do. First, what you want to do is crop it, and the benefits of using a 50mm lens is that cropping is kind of easy and you don't have to slice it off on the sides. You can preserve almost the entire painting. So just crop first. So right now the only thing is to get rid of the annoyances that are part of the photo. I'm talking about these tiny specks of light that are like peeking out, like for example like this one. And you're going to use the Band-Aid tool. It's called Smart Patch tool. Take the peck of light or the dust or whatever it is and just boom, remove it. It works also for hair. So don't remove everything because some of them are part of the volume of the paint and you don't want to remove this type of information. Some of them are actually a part of how the paint looks. If it doesn't look like it was made on purpose, and if it looks like it's just something that the camera picked up but it shouldn't have, just remove it with the Band-Aid tool. And really, at this point, this is all there is to it. Just remove things with the Band-Aid tool until you feel that the surface has the quality that you desire. And there you go. The only thing you have to do now is save a high-res picture as wide and large as you can, and save a 1080 picture that you can share online. And basically that's it. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more like those, feel free to like and subscribe. I post videos every week or every other week. And yeah, if you want to learn more about oil painting, you can also check out my oil painting course and see how this painting was made actually. And you can also check out my Patreon and become a member. The link is going to be in the description. Thank you very much to all my patrons. The support is absolutely amazing. So I wouldn't be here without you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you for the next video. Until then, have fun painting and have fun taking great photos of your paintings. Bye.